back. My name is Barbara Hernandez. I am Director of Marketing and Communications for Pinellas County Government. I have only lived in Pinellas County for approximately 10 months, one more month. And I love it here. I am originally from Puerto Rico, and I moved to Florida about 10 years ago. I lived in Marion County, I lived in New York, and I love living in Pinellas. So we're going to give you an overview of the penny for Pinellas. Certainly we're not going to cover everything relating to the penny here, but this is a good introductory conversation about penny for Pinellas. And as Doug mentioned, the penny is not a new tax. It has been in place since 1990. So actually our voters have, first instituted it for 1990 and then renewed it twice. So what's coming up on November 7th of this year, where voters will have the opportunity to decide if they want to renew it another time. So we had a very beautiful PowerPoint presentation prepared for you, but our monitor here only accepts images. So we have saved some images of some of the projects and some of the slides. So you'll have to bear with Josh and I if we have to refer back to our notes for just a moment or two. Penny for Pinellas I've recently heard this, and I think it's resonated with a lot of people. It's been called the penny that builds a better Pinellas. And why that is said is because the penny for Pinellas, it's a 1% sales tax, and it has been used by both the county and the 24 municipalities on project priorities that are very diverse under the law. For example, stormwater management projects, road construction, bridge projects, infrastructure. The public safety complex is a good example that serves both municipalities and the county. And the way these projects have been completed is through the penny for Pinellas, has been obviously the primary funding source. So some FAQs about the penny. Some people ask me, is the penny collected in every purchase? The answer is no. The penny is not collected on groceries or medication. So when you go to the store to buy your eggs, milk, bread, it is the penny for Pinellas, that 1% sales tax is not collected on those goods. Large purchases, it's not collected.
It's only on the first $5,000.
Oh, so it's only collected on the first $5,000. So if you purchase a boat, if you purchase a vehicle, that's the cap for collection of the penny. Another, and we have copies of the PowerPoint for you now. Another thing that we are asked often is, do tourists contribute to the penny for Pinellas? The answer is yes. Does anybody have an idea of how much or what percentage of the penny revenue is contributed by tourists and visitors to Pinellas County? Yeah.
About $2 billion. And this next penny is supposed to be about $2 billion.
And this next one.
Yes, sorry. I'm thinking ahead.
You're planning ahead. You're ahead of me.
Yeah.
But on average, it's about 30%. So for every project that Pinellas County residents pay, every penny project that we help fund, 30% of it is paid for by the people who come and visit our community, who enjoy our beaches, our recreation opportunities, who stay with us. So 30%. So as it is, we're getting about a 30% savings on penny for Pinellas project, thanks to the contribution of our tourists. I already mentioned a few of the facts. One other thing, the categories, I briefly touched on them, and Josh will go into a lot more detail, but just so you all, if you're taking notes, public safety and welfare, water quality and flood control, parks and natural resources, Pinellas Trail. Anybody ever enjoyed Pinellas Trail? Any project? Faster, safer travel, and growth and vitality. Some people ask, well, how many projects has the penny funded since it's been in place since 1990? Thousands of projects, and that's thousands of projects including the county and the municipalities. Penny revenue is shared based on a population-based formula that the state sets for us. So we follow that formula in determining the allocations. Another question I get before I go into some of the examples of projects in your area, people have asked me, does the penny pay for staff salaries? The answer is no. The penny, by law, cannot be used on staff salary or maintenance operations. It's only on new infrastructure, new one-time projects. So we wanted to show you a few examples. I'm sure you're very familiar with these, but just so you get a better idea of high-level projects that the penny has helped complete. So one of them is the Baylor Causeway Bridge. And what this project did is it replaced an aging bridge with a new one, new and improved one, to allow for faster and safer travel to and from the barrier island communities. The Bear Creek channel drainage, this one provided for improvements when it comes to water flow, stormwater drainage, and protecting our water quality. So next one is the Tierra Verde Fire Station. And this one is one of approximately 20 public safety facilities built throughout Pinellas County with penny funds. And obviously, with a fire station, you get faster response to the nearby communities. So that's a direct impact of the penny for our citizens. And then we have the Fort DeSoto recirculation bridge project. And this one allows, it's a tile bridge, it allows for better water flow, and it protects water quality and improves or protects natural habitat in that area. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it to Josh now, and he'll give you just a little more detail as to what each of the categories that the Penny Fund has done for our community.
Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, excellent. As Barbara mentioned, there's some kind of 5 major categories that we've identified that the penny has really funded to invest in our community. One of the biggest project areas for the penny historically, and it likely will be in the future, is projects that support faster, safer travel for residents. Pinellas County does an annual citizen survey, and consistently, transportation is a big issue as far as the ability to get from one side of the county to another, especially on our kind of built-out peninsula. This is obviously a big priority. So these are just a few of the highlights of what Pinellas County has done with its portion of the penny. Municipalities have done other road projects, but you know, dozens of new lane miles added to some major roads throughout the county. Bridge projects, Baylor Causeway was already mentioned. The Bayside Bridge was an early penny project that, you know, helped people have an alternative route from south into Pinellas County up to North County. There's numerous sidewalks and crosswalk projects that have been done with the penny, small, you know, just in the neighborhood kind of projects. And the penny has also supported an annual effort to resurface roads before they start to deteriorate and develop potholes. So that's on the faster, safer travel side. Another category, which is a little bit broad, but it's neighborhood growth and vitality. These are projects like recreation centers in our unincorporated areas, and I think a lot of the cities have really been able to add recreational facilities through the penny for Pinellas for their citizens as well. Workforce housing is another piece in this current penny we're in that the penny has supported. Essentially assembling land that can be used for development of affordable housing. The county doesn't develop the affordable housing itself, but buys the land so that there's some land set aside for those kinds of projects. Next one. Safer communities. Barbara already mentioned this about fire stations and public safety facilities, but there's been major investments in everything from fire stations to large facilities like our public safety complex in Ulmerton Road. Parks and natural resources. I think I talked to our parks department and they said probably just about every county park within Pinellas County has been supported in some way by the penny, whether it's adding a new park shelter, doing roadway projects within the parks, trails, and obviously the Fred Marcos Pinellas Trail was a major project that's gained a lot of recognition for our county over the years. And there's actually expansion of that trail going on right now with the penny. It's part of the Duke Energy Trail up in Clearwater, but the goal ultimately would be to create a loop around Pinellas County so that folks can take the Pinellas Trail and go all the way from south to north and then back around on the continuous loop. All right. focused on this year. We have a countywide task force right now trying to come up with regional solutions for stormwater. It's something that's going to impact us being in a coastal peninsula county. The Penny has already supported numerous projects to promote better drainage in streets, in neighborhoods, to stabilize major creeks and bodies of water so they don't erode and cause degradation of the environment. And also water quality projects. Some of our lakes, like Lake Tarpon and Lake Seminole, there's been major projects to remove pollutants from those bodies of water over the years with the Penny. And all of this kind of work together to both add to public safety in terms of flood control and also to promote better environmental water quality. So those have been an important component, and it's definitely something that's been discussed as a future investment area for the Penny if voters renew it in November. Let's see. I think the next slide is about the renewal. Do you want to take it from there, Barbara?
One thing I should mention is we brought you copies of our annual accomplishments report. Feel free to take one or more home. And as you look through the pages, you're going to see notes about various Penny projects completed by Pinellas County government in the last year, some of them in partnership with our municipalities. But then if you look at the center spread, there is a map that provides some high-level examples of Penny for Pinellas projects completed through the year, so not just in the last year. So feel free to take this with you. It has a description of about 24 projects. Certainly, this is just a snapshot of Penny projects completed in our community. So obviously, we are here today because there's a lot of interest in our community about the Penny. There is an upcoming vote. Our citizens are wanting to make sure they have all of the information they need to make an informed decision. And one of the questions that I get asked often is, how are Penny projects determined? How are those priorities established? So each government, so the county and each of the municipalities, they establish their own public process for getting citizen feedback, for prioritizing projects and prioritizing needs. So this is a reflection of Pinellas County government's formula for receiving information and for determining Penny priorities. So obviously citizen input is at the top of the list. We regularly get input at public meetings, public hearings, or public meetings, workshops, and such. We also have a lot of citizens calling us now that this is the year of the Penny renewal vote. So we get citizen input via the traditional methods and via some open houses that we're going to be conducting in the spring. And over the next few weeks, you're going to hear more about that. We're going to be providing our citizens with a survey with different mechanisms through which they can say, these are my priorities or these are my thoughts about the Penny, so that our board can consider that. Obviously, community needs, we certainly have studies that are done. Our departmental staff and our public works crews, our stormwater crews are out in the community doing projects and identifying need and talking with citizens on a very grassroots level every year, not just this year. It's every year. So all of that information they compile and they provide to the board. Here's what we're hearing. Here's what we're seeing. Here are the changes that our community is experiencing. And that's provided. Pinellas County government has a strategic plan, and that plan is also included in the book. I believe it is on page 4. It is. And our plan basically contains the top 5 goals that Pinellas County government uses when guiding decisions, and then there are different strategies underneath each. So I invite you to look at it, but big picture is delivering first-class services, it's ensuring public health, safety, and welfare, it's practicing superior environmental stewardship, fostering continual economic growth, and creating a quality workforce in a positive, supportive organization. So certainly that last one does not apply to the Penny, but in the other 4 categories, you will see as you review Penny projects that they have aligned under one of those other 4 areas, and that's, thank you. That's a representation of our strategic plan. So if you go back to the other slide, yes. and certainly our partners. So some of you have been already communicating with county staff, representing your municipalities or your organization, and sharing those priorities that your groups and your organizations and your municipalities have for penny funding if it's renewed come November 7th. I understand some of you have also been attending some of our meetings. So where we are today is in the information gathering and data review process. So like I said, we're going to be having our community open houses. We just had a work session this past Tuesday, and all of those meetings, by the way, are televised live, and they're also kept on the PinellasCounty.org website. So you can certainly go back. If you missed one of those, you can go back. You can get with us later and get the dates. And it's something that you might want to watch and follow up on if you have any questions. For our partner relationships regarding the penny, when it comes to the municipalities, there are interlocal agreements that municipalities and the county partner on. So those conversations are also going to be starting, if they haven't already, very soon. And all of that, citizen input, department research, partner input, community needs, all of that comes together as our Board of County Commissioners makes the determination for the priority areas. We're in the very early stages of determining what those priorities might be, but certainly we are hearing from our citizens through our annual Citizen Value Survey that transportation continues to be a top priority for our residents. I mentioned the Citizen Value Survey. It's a statistically valid survey that is conducted every year. And we reach out to our residents, North, Mid, South, Beach area, communities, and we ask them what are their thoughts on priorities for the community, where do they see areas of opportunity, and all of that for last year is captured in this book. We have the highlights here, but now we are getting the results from 2017, and you will get to hear more about those in our public meetings. So that's one of the things I can always share. Transportation is always a top-of-mind issue. So certainly with all of that, the board will be determining penny priorities, penny projects. For the municipalities, they're going to have their own process, but again, in essence, it's very similar, getting citizen input, looking at what's out there, what's going on with our community and changes, and then preparing their list of priorities that they can then share with the community. One other thing, do you have this slide?
This is the last slide I've got here. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. One other thing I wanted to share, because again today we're talking very high level. There's going to be a lot more discussion and a lot more information that's going to be made available as these discussions happen. But we are updating our PinellasCounty.org/penny website. This is where we traditionally keep penny information. So up until recently, it was a lot of things done, so to speak, projects that have been completed through the years. But as the conversation continues, we're going to continue to provide updates on this page. So it is a resource, it is a resource that's available to you. And from that penny page, you can access an interactive map that our GIS team has put together using one of their existing templates. And what it does is, if you click on that map, you can type in an address, so where you live, or maybe where somebody else in the community lives, and it'll zoom you into that area of the community, and it will show you highlights of projects completed in the area. The key about the penny is it's not just been major county-wide projects, but it has also supported municipal and more neighborhood-based projects as well. So take note of that page. And with that, I just invite you to stay tuned, continue the conversation. Certainly join us at our open houses that we're going to be announcing very soon. And I brought some business cards that I can share with you, certainly Josh, and we can keep you informed. The key goal here is stay informed, stay engaged, give us your feedback, and as we continue the conversation. So with that, we'll open it up for questions or comments or concerns. I have a card. Yes.
I'm representing an unincorporated area of the county, and I know that our situation would be a lot different from organized municipalities who actually have a government in place who does all the logistics for them. If, you know, you know specifically that we're looking for a community center, would that be a project that the county would put together for us, determining what our needs are based on a formula and help us, you know, through the process? Because we don't really have an organized government who could, you know, take over and come up with a plan, present it with a dollar amount of what we were looking for to fund.
All of those priorities for non-governmental organizations, so to speak, for community groups, assembled group of citizens that want a particular project, all of those will be considered. What I encourage you to do, because it's still early in the conversation, is to have all of the information that you have available and certainly share it with our board. Certainly make your interests known and continue that conversation. And then as the conversation evolves, they will be determining what are the priority areas. What are the priority projects? Certainly the penny is a finite source of funding, and they will be making those determinations based on the overarching goals or priorities for the next iteration of the penny. Certainly welcoming feedback from everybody, and that's key. Yes.
Well, in my memory, the periodicity of the vote is for 10 years?
Yes.
To extend it for 10 years?
Correct. So the vote that you will be taking on November 7th on the potential renewal of the penny, if renewed, that would cover the years 2020 through 2030. It's a 10-year renewal phase.
And because it's included in the state sales tax, when you go for gasoline or whatever, you pay 7 cents on the dollar. Does that money go to Tallahassee and come back to Pinellas County?
Yes, it is allocated from the state to us and then through the municipalities.
And do the municipalities get that money on an annual basis? Like on June 15th every year, there's a check in the mail from Tallahassee or the county for their allotment?
I think I have a municipality represented back
And,
here.
and actually, you know how it works, and I really want to give the county kudos on starting to promote this, because there is opponents to this, which doesn't make sense. But a lot of there's people out there thinking, oh, you're just using this money to put palm trees in or things like that. But I think as this moves forward, and I got to thank Leslie, we're both members of the Bear Island Governmental Council. So what we've started doing, and thank you for the support of the council, is we've already started our local agreement with the county. Because the last time it took over a decade to do the beautification, which came from pennies from Pinellas, which the beach has got $33.5 million. Our conversations, I know with Mark Woodard that I've had with him, is this penny's probably going to bring in a true $2 billion, which was projected the last time, but I think when we had a little economic slump, it really didn't quite get there. So what we're working on, and this kind of maybe answers your question, what gets back to the municipalities, is the municipalities working this way? Because what we're looking at doing is going after $45 billion. But to show true transparency for what the money's being used for, and I think Leslie at my last meeting kind of updating what was going on, is what we're going to do is, say from the last penny for beautification, I'll give a little example. Madeira Beach got $3.3 million. We started undergrounding our power lines, but we didn't have quite enough money. So what we're going to looking at doing, this portion of the penny from Madeira Beach getting to $45 billion would be $4.4 million, which would help us complete the underground. So we would go to the county with that project, and as the Bear Island Governmental Council, I know that I'm starting to meet with each mayor and their city managers for them to put that together, which kind of comes back, this is how it works. Tierra Verde, which, actually, and I got to say what a great job I sit on the EMS Advisory Board for Pinellas County, and using that money to build a fire station was an outstanding job.
That was a huge benefit to the residents also in their terms of their homeowners insurance, because we had a closer responding fire station, which played into the premiums that we were being charged for our insurance as well. But it's also a responding station to Fort DeSoto, and I know that they've been called out not just to Fort DeSoto events, but to any kind of event that might happen. For instance, there was a huge fire on Egmont Key, and they were able to pick up firefighters for that and transport them out to the key to fight that multi-acre fire, and then any navigational accidents that happen as well.
And certainly for our first responders, it has contributed not only to those facilities from which they respond, but also to like vehicles and fire engines, and
Right.
certainly some of the tools that they need to be able to do the job for our community.
And moving forward, I can tell you right now, in this current penny, we're working with Reddingtons, and because there's a lapse of coverage up there in the EMS service, and basically doing the same thing. And I cannot tell you what a great job John Bennett's doing. I mean, y'all know John, but thinking outside of the box, we're actually going to be able to do a station up there using pennies for Pinellas, but it's infrastructure money because there's an old lift station that was supposed to be replaced there, I think, in 16 or 15. But the money rolling through to do the lift station is going to also come in and help do the fire station. But just to give everybody kind of an update, what we're looking at out here on the beaches, bringing back for the next penny, is Clearwater will be about $8.6 million. Bel Air Beach will be about $2.7 million. Bel Air Shore of $1 million. Indian Rocks Beach, $5.2 million. Indian Shores, $5.1 million. Reddington Shores, $2.2 million. North Reddington Beach, $1.4. Madeira Beach will be 4.2, and Treasure Island 4.8, St. Pete Beach 7.3. The great thing is how we're working on this under a local agreement brings into place what you're talking about. It's not only for beautification, but for infrastructure projects. And talking to St. Pete Beach, where they'll actually be able to use it for their sewer systems, which we know is an issue. And I really want to thank the county because we just finished a project here using the penny, which was updating all our transfer lines coming out of the pump station. So if anybody saw that construction going on 150th, no, it wasn't new development. It was using the penny to upgrade our sewer systems here. So once again, I want to thank the county from the city of Madeira Beach.
Appreciate that, and that it's very interesting that you bring that up. The county has a philosophy, I'm sure you've heard it many times, but it's with partners we can do more. And it's something that the county really believes, and it's not just at the BCC level, at administrative level. It really is down to field crews, to people in the offices. Everybody lives and breathes that because we recognize that we serve a community. And as such, we have to come together and work on projects. And John Bennett, I'll let him know, he is actually my boss.
Yeah, we were just together last Friday on the Reddington Fire Station, and I cannot stay. And folks, I know the county had this thing, and it's really transformed over the last couple of years. It used to be the counties against the municipalities. Mark Woodard coming in, John Bennett coming in. That was a great hire by the commission. And it's now to where the municipalities working with the county are getting things done. So y'all need to promote this. There's a small group out there. We didn't get Green Light Pinellas, which would have helped immensely in transportation. We just can't let this group do the same thing what they did in the last election.
Well, and to speak to that, I would say that, anything that the county can do to translate to the everyday resident of Pinellas County how their lives have been directly impacted by this funding source would be a real positive, kind of drawing the picture with crayons for them of, do you enjoy this? Well, this was paid for by pennies for Pinellas.
Is there any intention to do any type of campaign from the county to the residents? When you're speaking, probably half or more of the people in this room live and breathe the jargon of Penny for Pinellas and advocate on behalf of it. But the typical resident in these beach communities especially, I don't think fully recognize or understand that.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're bringing up this conversation. We talked about the open house as a public input phase, and I call it phase one. We internally in our department we call it phase one. Our job is to provide public information and awareness about the penny. Certainly not advocate voting one way or another, and we recognize that and we honor that. So when we go out, we are very mindful of that, and we recognize that people have different perspectives about the penny. But to your point, yes, we are looking at the information. We are trying to understand it as we would if we were Sunday morning reading the paper. How am I going to learn about these projects? And that's one of the things that at Tuesday's work session the board discusses. These are significant projects. How do we make sure that our citizens understand what the penny paid for and accomplished? Because a lot of these things, they're built and you don't even see them because they're underground. When you talk about these drainage projects, some of these water quality projects, you're not driving by them every day, or you're driving over them, and it's just out of sight, out of mind. So it's our task to do a good job, a really, really good job of putting it in citizen perspective in a way that will be understood, and then they will make their decision with those facts. Certainly, as our Penny website evolves, we're going to continue putting information. You are welcome to use it, to read it, to share it. Books we can provide more, and we will be phase 2, so to speak. We'll be going out to our communities and doing more of these types of presentations to bring context to what the penny is. The penny is not a new sales tax. The penny is, the funds are highly regulated by the state. It's not money that comes to the governmental organizations for them to decide. No, there are guidelines. There are state guidelines for how that money can be used, and those guidelines are honored and respected. So certainly we welcome the opportunity to come back out, to go to community groups if you are aware who might benefit from this information. We'll be happy to come out and share details as the conversation continues.
I would like to make a suggestion that in, some of the overall general information that you put out there is, to let residents know that we don't entirely bear the burden of this tax, just, knowing that 30% of this money that's accumulated comes from tourism is a big point to make, and it also, helps the number one industry, helps reinforce how important it is to our area as well. With residents.
That's a good point. It's making those connections, because it's not, you hear penny as sales tax. It's a tax, basically. But when you think about realities and when you think about the things that you need to do in your community where you live, work, and play, you have to drive, you have to go to places, you have to provide certain things. There are funding sources, and the penny is one of them, but it's certainly been a source that both the county and the municipalities have been able to use to advance projects that they have and their citizens deem necessary for their communities. Yes.
Back to my question, do municipalities get a check from the county on an annual basis based upon their population? Or does the county decide we need a Bel Air Causeway bridge more than North Reddington Beach needs $1,200 for some exercise equipment at the park, so therefore we're going to build the Bel Air Bridge and keep the money?
No, the allocations are, again, state guided, and they're based on population formulas. So regardless of what percentage of revenue comes to our community, the percentage allocations are still the same. So
it's sent to the town.
That's
They're X number of dollars based upon population.
Whatever X number of
on
dollars.
an annual basis.
I don't know how it's dispersed.
It'll probably be broke down last
By
time, like how we did
project.
the interlocal, and how it broke down, I think, like I'll say, just because I know the city of Madeira Beach numbers, I think it was $600,000 in the first round, and then it built up over, what, a 4-year period when the breakdown. So it's not going to, like you're going to receive a check for $1 million every year.
There's specific guidelines,
exactly.
there's, completions of qualified projects, reimbursements. So just because it gets approved and there might be a project slated, for example, Gulf Boulevard undergrounding, if you drive up and down Gulf Boulevard, you know that that's not fully undergrounded and funded. However, it's been a project under Penny for Pinellas for many years. But different municipalities have different challenges when it comes to that interlocal agreement, ability to reimburse, front the money, complete the project, because there's so many dynamics that come into some of these projects that there are outside project that ties into a Penny for Pinellas project.
But those funds have been
The key answer
delayed.
to his question is that a municipality is reimbursed after they have completed a project. Not up front. You don't get the money up front to
Correct.
spend. You get
Correct.
reimbursed if you complete
Now
the project.
that would be a great option if you could just get a check and then go spend it. That's it.
And the other thing that he mentioned that I would like you to clarify is that the county never keeps this money and puts it into the general coffers.
No.
It is spent.
There are separate lines for the separate funds, and all of that is in our budget book, which is, all of that information is published online. But penny funds cannot be mixed in.
Very strictly legislated.
With like the general fund, for example. Those are all separate. And one other thing, since you touched on it, that's a good point too, is penny funds are leveraged. And the municipalities and the county try to do the best they can to, for example, secure grant funding, come up with partner-made solutions so that, maybe a project costs, I don't know, let's say a small project, $100,000, but there's a $25,000 grant or a $50,000 grant that comes to the community, then that's more penny funds that are freed up for other projects.
I just want to clear up one thing, and then maybe it was Doug that was at the last meeting of the Big C. Somebody brought up there was still money in the coffers from this current penny, but a lot of that money is already allocated because of, let's say, like North Reddington Beach. They have their little fund in there, they're going to do undergrounding, but that money's still in the bank till they start the project to go ahead and get it done. So I think that needs to be erased because a lot of those funds that are there are already allocated, even though there's still money in the bank from this penny.
Yeah, and keep in mind, these are penny projects by law have to be, again, one-time capital investment projects. These are not $10 tag projects. These are very expensive projects. And by virtue, not just of that, but by what they are going to accomplish, you don't build a road in a year. There are years ahead of that to plan, to research, to design, to look at the land. But a community may have identified, we know we need some sort of road project here. So like you said, that becomes a priority. The funding for that is determined. We anticipate it's going to cost X amount of dollars, and it's put into the plan. The county has a CIP, a capital investment project plan, and again, that information is on the website. So these are conversations that happen over the years. The penny doesn't happen, penny projects don't happen in a vacuum, so to speak. These are lengthy processes, and that's part of why we want to come out and talk, again, not just 2 months before the vote, because the conversation is a lot deeper than one meeting.
So we can get one more question and then we have to move forward.
One more question. The funds that the municipalities get reimbursed for are the projects screened by the county prior to the reimbursement? And does monies allocated to the municipalities expire if not utilized?
I can answer that in on the beaches. Over at the Barrier Island Governmental Council, we have a separate board where, let's say the municipality wants to come in to do a project. I'll give an example. Treasure Island wanted to do seawalls. So Treasure Island came in with their plan to the members of the Big C that sit on this committee to get it approved, and then it got pushed to the county. So what the county did was give the municipalities on the beaches through the Big C kind of the realm, because the county said, here's what you're allowed and this is what you asked for your projects. So each project goes through actually the Barrier Island Council, then approved by the county. But it's pretty much the municipalities out there on the beach looking at each other's projects. If that's...
And to the expiration question,
Yeah.
I don't think they expire.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I wanted to clarify something too. I feel like maybe this Gulf Boulevard beautification pool of money is being kind of confused with the larger penny.
Yeah, well, I'm giving a view out here on the beaches.
Yeah, because I know there's a pool of money. The Gulf Boulevard undergrounding project was kind of a cost-sharing situation between the county and the cities, but I believe, and municipal officials can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe that for other city projects, the county doesn't review these projects and say anything about them. That's kind of up to the discretion of the cities and the portion of the funds that they get. That's my understanding of that.
Now, I mean, like I said, the project over here on the sewer, that was actually through the county. I mean, yes, the city of Madeira Beach said, hey, recognize the problem. We were doing fecal bacteria numbers. They were a little high. The county got involved. We took a look at it. Pipes were leaking. They came in and took care of the issue. And like I said, folks, you hear the problems out here with the sewer systems. The county's on it. I mean, when you identify these problems, and using penny money is a great source to take care of our waterways here in Pinellas County.
But the Big C has a review of
Yeah,
projects
review
for
committee.
each
Yes,
of
a
the
review
towns
committee
that
of
belong.
each municipality.
And I think that's where the approval or the look at comes for the beach community.
To make sure it's within the past interlocal agreement that was passed back with Mayor Lawrence, which was, about a year or two ago.
Any closing comments?
No, again, thank you very much for this opportunity to come here this morning. We're available. We're happy to come back out again and talk to you or another group. So certainly take our business card, and we'll stick around for a few